It's got great music, stunning retro visuals, and most importantly, the JRPG shuffle, which is a sign of greatness for all cult classics. What more do I want? Well, buckle up. I'd be glad to tell you why I dropped Octopath Traveler. Games typically fall into two categories. Some stick to their roots using a if it's not broke, don't fix it mentality, and others try to push the boundaries by doing new experimental things. Octopath tries to do both, and doesn't do either well. Throughout my playthrough of Octopath Traveler, there was one question I was constantly asking myself. When the fuck does it get good? And after 15 hours, I've concluded that answer is never. I've played worse games in my life, but very few are as frustratingly boring as this one. Octopath Traveler is a 16-bit turn-based JRPG where 8 unlikely heroes journey together in order to complete their own goals. Now you may be thinking, well, that doesn't sound so bad, and on paper it isn't. But here's where the bad comes in. They don't talk to each other at all. I'm not exaggerating either, there's almost zero interaction between our main cast. I shouldn't need to say this, but having your main characters fucking speak to one another is writing 101. Each one is off on their own journey, so it would be nice to have them learn from and play off each other like every other JRPG before this one. Because as it is now, it kills any sense of world building, because our 8 main characters have as much interaction as I do with random strangers on the bus. And yes, I'm aware they technically talk to each other through the travel banter, but it feels like an afterthought and really fucking lazy. Anyone can write commentary on the situation, that's what I'm literally doing right now. Don't be me, some no-name loser on the internet. Incorporate that shit in the main stories, because as it is, it feels isolated and robs any moment of a meaningful impact. Talking to one another is also crucial for bringing up any character arcs that don't connect with you. Let's say you don't give a shit about the hunter in this game. Her story will be like pulling teeth because any character you might like will vanish into thin air. Most of the character stories are pretty meh, with the exception of Primrose's. Obviously I didn't finish all of them, but from what I gathered, most are shallow concepts that other games would build off a little more. The writing isn't very good either. This is all within the same cutscene.
I did, Your Excellency. I am sorry, Your Excellency. Your Excellency? Your Excellency! Your Excellency!
The whole premise of Octopath is you can choose one of 8 party leaders and set out on your adventure, except it's not that simple. You need to assemble a full party so you can do damage, heal, or whatever, but after you assemble the squad, then you can start adventuring, right? Nope, you're still underleveled, so you'd better assemble all 8 characters anyway. This split approach also massacres the game's pacing. Once you get to the end of a character's chapter, you'll have to travel halfway across the map to continue it. But you have to level up to stand a fighting chance. And unless you want to grind endlessly, you'll end up doing the rest of the cast stories that are around your level. But because there's no talking between the cast, it's like reading 8 separate books in the same genre at once and rotating every goddamn chapter. Have fun keeping up with all the characters and their motivations and caring whatsoever about any story. The way Octopath Traveler tells its narrative is fundamentally flawed at the most basic level. Want to know a story that has characters speaking with one another? The Room. If Tommy wears more belts than Sora in Kingdom Hearts 2 Wiseau has a better grasp on storytelling than your game, you might be beyond help. Hey, fun fact. Did you know the first letter of each character's name represents one letter in Octopath? Which means my main party was Team Thought. I didn't really have a point to that, I just thought it was kind of funny. So the story's, painful, but the gameplay has to make up for it though, right? Not quite. The turn-based combat is fine. It's kinda like a Shin Megami Tensei or Persona. Enemies are weak to certain elements or certain weapon types, and using those weaknesses against them will break their guard and completely lower its defense. But instead of getting an extra turn, your enemies get skipped. In most cases, it'll take multiple hits that they're weak to in order to knock them down. Once that happens, you can save up these glowing balls in the corner that power up your attacks. But you can also use them to string together a combo to knock them down in the first place, so there's a little bit of risk-reward going on here. Again, the combat is fine. Bosses might be a little too spongy for my taste, but it works well. But stay with me here. I don't play turn-based RPGs for their combat. It doesn't matter what you do to the formula, there's only so much you can do with turn-based mechanics. The JRPG genre was designed around having a strong story, characters, and world, which Octopath Traveler fails at. If the gameplay starts gathering momentum though, any fun is subverted by Octopath committing one of gaming's cardinal sins. It takes great liberty wasting your time. Here's an example: random battles do their best to cover up lackluster dungeons.
Come on, I've got better things to do.
There's actually a character that limits the amount of random battles you encounter, and the game goes by so much faster, despite you being drastically underleveled. Side quests are also garbage and completely forgettable, and for whatever reason you can't change your party from the fucking pause menu. You have to go all the way to a tavern for that. So let's just say you're an idiot like me and forgets to add a healer or a DPS character to your team because you want to kind of even out their levels. Well, congratulations, I hope you have fun with the 40-minute boss fight. Either that or backtracking through the whole dungeon again with all the random battles just to switch your party. I genuinely wish the Switch had trophies or some sort of achievement system where you could see how many players or what percentage of players completed a certain game, because my gut feeling is it's not that high with Octopath Traveler. And if a single-player game doesn't motivate you to finish it all the way to the end, what's the fucking point? Octopath Traveler is a game that could have only been as successful as it was on the Switch. It came out on a perfect dry spell for the system on July 2018, which was 7 months after Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 5 months before Smash Ultimate. Gotta give credit to Square. They chose the perfect window for this game. With that said, Octopath Traveler will fade into obscurity as time goes on and the Switch builds its library with even better exclusives. Also, by the way, it's not going to be exclusive on the Switch anymore, just saying. So unless you've completely caught up with your backlog and don't have a list of significantly better JRPGs stacking up filling you with existential dread, then sure, give it a shot. But if you have anything better to do, you can skip this title. Kinda wish I did. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching the video. I hope you enjoyed me ranting about this game that quite a few people actually recommended to me. I gave it an honest shot, but it just wasn't for me. Anyway, I've got another video coming soon, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. Later.